Well, my name's Stephen Kane. I run a company called Ridgeway. I'll go into a little bit more detail on that when we look at some case studies later on. Along with me is Pete Harley, who you've all met, and together we work on the Higher Assembly Committee. And I have to say it's been a challenging year so far, but we're making a lot of progress with this, and it's good to have a platform to be able to explain some of the stuff that we've been doing for some 20 odd years, maybe longer.
Longer.
Yeah. And in our earlier session we've heard about the standard configurations, and for the next few minutes we're going to focus on some of these complex structures that both of us have been working on. Okay. That's over to you, Bill.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Right, first case study that we're looking at is refurbishment of an office block in Winchester, and there were a number of challenges that the contractor that we were working for had to overcome for his access requirements. It was a pretty demanding program, as it usually is, so a quick build and dismantle was required. One of the major issue that he had for choosing an aluminium tower structure rather than traditional scaffolding was it was on a podium car park, and the loadings for the paved area were insufficient to take to traditional scaffolding. It wasn't a construction site. It was a building that was refurbed in 2008, and there were issues with the cladding. So it was a live building, council offices full of council workers who weren't used to having the type of works going on. So it was a delicate environment. Clear access through the structure was required. That was one of the key issues. And as I say, the client was sensitive to noise and disruption. So those were the key challenges that our contractor looked to us to solve for him. And as you can see from the drawing, we had a structure that there is 12.5 metres long with a return of a 1.8 metre tower, 16.2 metres high, every lift boarded, and you see with clear walk-through access. The drawing was produced by the manufacturer, Werner, and it gave us a detailed design certificate with calculations, and also, importantly, a component schedule. The additional complication to this was there was also, I'm sure you're aware of a brise-soleils that restricts sunlight going into office blocks. We had to work around those. So as we progressively built the structure, we have to take out the brise-soleils, build around it, go up. And also this structure, as it's 16 metre high, has got tied to the physical building. And this is the finished article. You can see that we had a number of issues with the heights of where the brise-soleils were coming in, so the platform heights needed to be adjusted as we built, and the manufacturer was very good with us and talked us through redesigning and putting certificates through it. And that job was ongoing for 2.5 years, which was very nice for us. Interestingly, we're back there again, starting again for another year. So I think the thing about structures is that people don't generally know the capability of aluminium, and I think today's a really good opportunity for us to showcase it for you. You'll see it outside in its physical nature in the courtyard, but showing you pictures like this, it's a really good opportunity for people to see access in a different light. It doesn't have to be scaffolding. Our lads are trained, they're skilled people, and I'm not going to be negative to all scaffolders, because I actually employ a couple of scaffolders, but aluminium tower erectors are actually a different breed to scaffolders. So in a sensitive environment, they may be a solution for you. So on to you, Steve, for case study 2.
Thank you. Very impressive. I have a couple of case studies to talk about, but firstly, just wanted to explain a wee bit about who Ridgeway are and what's our involvement here. We were established in 1969. We're a family-run business, and essentially we started the business servicing the needs of the painting contractors by hiring and selling scaffold to them right in the middle of the Troubles in Belfast. We operate out of Belfast, Dublin, and work with our customers in the UK and further afield. We're basically where they go, we follow them. One of the things that's quite important about what I'm going to say is the relationship with the manufacturer. we're very proud to be associated with Instant Upright for some 50 years now, and given that Wally Johnson invented the aluminium tower in 1947, it is something that we're very proud of, and it's a long-established relationship. The importance of manufacturers is key to this section of what we're going to talk about, in particular these case studies. So this particular job for a very high-profile client was to get access in underneath the ceilings on an M-style roof. The client here is very, very demanding, very, very large project. We're looking at access for the dry liners and for the M&E contractors. You're looking at thousands of square meters of coverage within that ceiling that need to be done to a very fast program, very, very, very disciplined temporary work situation with many trades on site and space being the absolute premium. They wanted mobile solutions to be able to get access into these ceilings. The client was very inclusive in the process and was working with the subcontractors with his own ideas on this, where they came to him and said, look, well, we like the idea of this traditional scaffold because we've got lots of steel scaffolders on site, and this is what we're going to look at. It was a split level deck. One actual suggestion was from the main contractor, said, oh, we just stick an aluminium tower on top of that, and that's great, isn't it? It's inexpensive. Oh, that'll be great, no problem, we'll crack on with that. The subcontractor raised an eyebrow and said, look, we would like to bring in one of our guys, Ridgeway, that we work with, and see if they can come up with a solution, because we think there's maybe a better way of doing this. So we were brought to the table, lots of discussion, and it was pretty clear that our customer wanted flexibility. And when we talk about flexibility here, we're talking about he wanted a structure out of aluminium that he could use from standard stock. It would achieve the split level decks, but more importantly, he wanted to buy this and be able to use it afterwards. So he didn't want really anything too much bespoke that would be chucked in the bin afterwards. He wanted to be able to keep his inventory and keep moving the stuff to the next site. The large deck, as you can see, for sealing contractors is crucial. That's what they want. They want a large deck, fast access, mobile, and the throughput on the job. There'd be 5 units of these jobs, of these units required for the site, and it was all about making sure that we provided the solution that was up to scratch for the client, had all the necessary paperwork, and also we had to protect that stuff whenever it was dismantled on site, so we had to provide on-site storage as well. During the consultation with the client, we get into the modelling, and this is where our manufacturing process and our designers come into play in great detail. It's very, very important that during this project, to point out, we couldn't get to site. We were relying on the information from our subcontractor due to the sensitivity of the actual site build from the original client. Sometimes get that, they won't let us near the place. Sometimes they want us all over it. In this instance, it was difficult, so we had to get into the dimensional details and model the structure. And with the model the structure in the customer's shed, we actually set up a temporary ceiling in there so that we actually worked through the process of the actual dry liners installing the boards and what they would do on site, so that there were no hold-ups on site to program. The execution of the job is crucial for all of this type of work. One of the things under the 1139 Part 6 that we do is we actually have to do the instructions. The instruction manuals are complex. For a structure like this, which is bespoke, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and does involve a cost. We're sick to the teeth of customers asking us for the lowest possible price with the best possible terms. This work does cost, but in the big grander scheme of things of a project like this, it's absolutely minimal. And our subcontractor recognises the importance of good design, good product, and the lifetime costs. So we were able to be covered with all the necessary costs associated with delivery of 1139 Part 6, which is key. Because at the moment in our industry, there are so many shortcuts being taken where people will not invest in adopting the principles behind the standard. This all looks very straightforward, and it's actually all meant to be, but we're still actually amazed of the ignorance of our industry about the potential for aluminium solutions. And hopefully what you'll see today will give you a little bit of a flavour of what we've been doing and what we can do, and hopefully you give us some space to do more of it in the future. Moving on quickly, the second case study. This job here details a hire situation where all of the hire assembly members live and breathe week in, week out. Client's on the phone, he needs a fast solution now, out of your stocks, he wants it surveyed now, he wants all the paperwork to back it up now, and he has to have all the trained staff available now, ready to rock and roll. In fact, this particular job is one of the biggest buildings currently being built in the capital, and our customer was insistent that we get on board so that he looks good in front of his main contractor and get a solution. All par for the course, that's what we do. So the problem, within one of the areas at 28-metre level, you've got a Sealing Access where we were asked to look at a number of problems around the facade atrium, where there was an awful lot of multiple levels of escalators down to ground level. The first job here was to provide a long tower run along a slab, and it stopped short of the facade that free spans around 9 metres over 3 extended abutments. So a lot of spans, a lot of depth, and the unit needed to be mobile as well because the guys needed to get up for M&E access and then also get up for boarding access afterwards. Given the levels of people on this site, as one of the busiest sites in the capital, the principles of design here, the principles of how you deliver are absolutely key. There are multiple trades working under escalators with obstructions. It's a busy site, you need to be on the ball. The main contractor also, there's a lot of tube and coupler and tube and fitting in this job, and he had a desire to just fill the place full of it. But actually, it was our customer again that said, look, have you considered aluminium? We believe this is a useful solution over the context of this job. Main customer, very interested in the concept behind it, of course, BIM. This is where we're seeing more and more projects where the clients are starting to look at their BIM models and to provide solutions for temporary works. This is a new challenge for a small company such as Ridgeway. We have to upskill our staff. We have to invest in the appropriate software, hardware. It's a far cry from the old days, but it's where this is going. Fortunately for us, Inson's engineering team were able to help us with this and look at the customer design fully and understand the problems of access during the discussions of how we would get to a solution. You can't beat the site visit. And just as it happened, I was in London exhibiting in another exhibition and I got the call from the office. I wonder, are you free? Would you mind? Typical. Within a day, I was on site and I met that team. I viewed the challenge for myself, and thankfully I'd been sent the drawings beforehand, so I'd got a wee bit of a heads up as to what we were dealing with when we went to the site. It is scary going to some of these big sites when you're used to smaller works, but if you want to play with the big boys, you've got to raise your game. Once the DIMs had been taken and we did the site survey on the logistics, we looked at the loading in, the booking in of transport, and how we would actually get the product to the work area. I nipped across the road to the Costa, and as you can see, I feverishly got my drawings out and started drawing out a little sketch. There's no man in the hire assembly building industry hasn't done a sketch like this over the years, I can assure you. Most of our day-to-day work, we try to find Fasttech stock solutions using the principles of the key structures that we've worked with for a lifetime. Our instant spandex have been in this lifetime portfolio, and needless to say, we couldn't function now in a business without this product. We needed to use the abutments on the slab to place our core pillars of the tower, and then cantilever from that tower over to allow for the spandex to link up over the 9-metre spans. We went on to work on the design proposals, and as you can see from the actual model here that the engineers came up with, that my design on the little bit of paper in the Costa wasn't too bad. And it's nice to know that after all these years, they still think I'm a bit of use in Ridgeway, thankfully. The consultation and modelling, again, with the client is key. We talked earlier with the panel about the temporary works. The temporary works procedures from this client is an encyclopedia. All guys in hire assembly really do appreciate that, trust me, not. But it's the future, we have to get into it. We carefully look at the about the design loads, the sequence of steps of how we would execute this job induction, toolbox. Induction on a big project like that, you're taking half a day. Any sort of problems on site, you're off site, you're possibly down tools for half a day. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But these are the processes that you have to go through. It is a whole different ballgame from working with your local council or government project on a few tower-linked towers. Steep learning curves, but this is where we want to take this. This is where we want clients to recognise what we can do and add value. Give us equivalence over the NASEC and the Scaffold Association. We know what we're doing. We have done this for a long time. Trust us. Within the delivery, you can actually see that the job was designed when it went up and completed within 10 working days from the original inquiry. And just by the way, during the 12th of July holidays, which for anyone in here who knows anything about Northern Ireland, they all go a wee bit nuts and it's hard to get the hold of them. But we were able to get our team together and get the job done. We have further work to do with this client on the site because we now need to look at further modifications to that structure. Just from when that was done to now, they've actually fully enclosed the entire atrium in tube and coupler at the cost of just over £250,000. Unfortunately, I didn't get £250,000 for this. It's very competitive compared to steel. Just to add about the modification, the client wanted to add on a last-minute cantilever, the full length of the structure, something that probably could be quite difficult to engineer, but with the support from the manufacturers, we were able to engineer that solution, and that will be going in place very soon. So in summary, the Elementium Access solutions using high-quality kit and clever engineering, installation and hard work is the hidden gem within this industry. It's not just about training, it's more, there's much more to this. And one that needs this member organisation like PASMA and its instructors, you guys, and its clients, you guys, to help promote us. You can be the sales guys for us as much as we can for you. Manufacturers, skilled installers, contractors and their supply chain that do this type of work must invest in the innovation, such as the technology to read BIM, and more importantly, in the product, the right product for the job, to match the ever-changing technological advances in construction that involve safely working at height. From the factory, the warehouse, the yard, a public building, the home, the farm, to these construction sites that we all work in, we need to be very aware of the change process ahead and the importance of investing in the right kit with the right people. Government must also recognise the need for sustainable innovation in construction and change their procurement practices away from lowest price towards best value and good practice, to reward the investment that we and you put in and keep our people safe and skilled for generations to come. Thank you very much.